Latest news from the criccosphere. Sri Lanka struck back with a win in the second test against Yasir Shah. Good team effort from Sri Lanka, whereas Yasir Shah didn't really score quite enough runs to give himself enough of a target to defend with his all-leg spin attack. New fast bowler Dushmantha Chameera touched 149.9 kilometres an hour on the speed gun. If he can get that extra 0.1 kilometre of an hour, he could be a very promising young fast bowler. Of course, fast bowler, young, promising. Any guesses what happened next? He missed the third test with an injury, a dance as old as time itself. India news, and Ravi Shastri, MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli are not travelling to Zimbabwe for the Limited Overs Matches Tour. Shastri needs to do some work on the shooting range, updating his research work into the speed of tracer bullets. There's been no specialist wicketkeeper chosen, suggesting that Dhoni could still play via Skype. And the scapegoat for India's recent failures, however, is Virat Kohli's girlfriend, Anushka Sharma. After disappointing at the World Cup and again on the tour of Bangladesh, Anushka has now been dropped. She's not out of the picture entirely. She's going on the India A Tour as the new girlfriend of spinner Pragyan Ojha. Suspected military espionage news, and Cricket South Africa's team drone has been arrested and detained after spying on the nation of Bangladesh. Cricket South Africa, of course, claimed the drone was just filming some nice footage for their fans back home, but no smoke without fire. There is literally nothing that Cricket South Africa will not try to get in on. Now, you sacked. In America, the ICC has suspended the USA Cricket Association after review highlighted, quotes, significant concerns about the governance, finance, reputation and cricketing activities of the USACA. There's not a lot left after that. They've got a lovely logo. That's about all that came through unscathed. More bad news for American cricket, really starting to look like we might be losing the battle with baseball to become America's go-to hitting a ball with a stick game, and also being told off by the ICC for problems with governance, finance, reputation and cricketing activities. That is like being told off for financial impropriety by Enron executives, or being given hair advice by Donald Trump, or Jackson Pollock having a go at your kid for doing a messy painting. That is the news.
27 tests. That's all we ever get out of Ryan Harris. He isn't the first fast bowler for us to lose, but modern science and his own desperation is the reason we had him in the first place. Despite all the evidence to the contrary, I always sort of believed that Ryan Harris could overcome anything and would play on forever. There was something magical, mystical about him. It took him 9 years, for instance, to make it from first-class cricket to test cricket. Most of that time he spent as a backup in South Australia. When he finally had a great season for them, they got rid of him. He had the skill of pace and movement and power, and when he came through the crease, he might as well have been a semi-trailer that had been lit on fire. It was the very best of sort of a masculine bowling action. In 2012-13, he played for Queensland in the Shield final. Given his body and his record, no one would have blamed him for missing it. Instead, on a terribly flat pitch, he slammed his body for 40 overs in the first innings, and in the second innings, he had Tasmania 5 for 15, including Ponting and Bailey. He only bowled 14 overs, but it felt like he would bowl until he could never walk again. Unfortunately for him, that match was drawn. But a short time later in Cape Town, South Africa and Australia are 1-1. It's late on day one. Australia only ever really believed they were going to get 10 overs out of Harris. So they knew at that stage his body wasn't working. In his 15th over, on a solid pitch, with almost nothing left in his knee, took the wicket of A.B. de Villiers. He was a crippled old man taking down Superman by that point. Despite the fact he couldn't walk, he kept bowling. He was crocked, he was stuffed, he was finished. It looked like Australia might not be able to win that test, and it was going to be a 1-1 series, but Ryan Harris winces in the face of impossible. He was, fast bowlers don't start international careers over 30 and already broken down bodies and take over 100 test wickets. That doesn't happen, but Harris wouldn't listen to modern medicine. He wouldn't listen to science, and he wouldn't even listen to cricket stats. The longer he bowled that day, it looked like he might never bowl again. At one stage, he was, instead of bashing through the crease like a Joe Frazier combination, or, with steam coming out of his dome and that big chest, he didn't have any of that. It looked like his legs were attached to someone else's body. And then at one stage he almost fell over. He sort of slipped as he bowled, and it looked like he wouldn't bowl again, and he had to be taken out of the attack. And Michael Clarke eventually, he tried everyone else. He had to come back to Ryan Harris. So when he did bring him back on, you couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan Harris shouldn't be bowling. Ryan Harris shouldn't be walking, and that Ryan Harris shouldn't be bowling Australia to victory. Somehow, Ryan Harris was running around the field having just taken 2 wickets in his last 3 balls. It was amazing. He should have been in a hospital bed. He said he's winning a test for his country. His figures will read from that day: 24.3 overs, 15 maidens, 32 runs and 4 wickets. But unless it's, you know, written in knee fluid and tears and bone and tendon and bloods, no one will ever understand how good Ryan Harris was that day. Ryan Harris was something special. 27 tests, but much like his knee, it's just a fragment of a career. Unlike his knee, they were beautiful fragments.
Fred, the great Victor Trumper, died 100 years ago last week. Made his debut in my last test. Goodness me, he could make cricket sing.
Testify, Doc. He could undress a nun at 300 yards with his off-drive, and then dress her up again like a pantomime flamingo with his late cut.
I'll take your word for that, Frederick.
Saw him do it. Didn't you once tell him that, and I quote, batting is not your forte, you will never get anywhere as a batsman?
Technically, I suppose, yes, I did.
Good punditry, Doc.
Well, he was only 14, and I was comparing him with me, so I was basically right.
And what a guy Trumper was. Modest, charming, generous.
Yes.
Teetotaler, non-smoker.
Yes.
His behaviour viewed as a true example to all cricketers.
Sounds like the least Australian Aussie that has ever lived.
How long you been holding that one in, Doc?
A while, Frederick. A while.
Here's the big bat of truth for you about the ICC's decision to not allow smaller teams into the World Cup. The last three Test nations, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe and Bangladesh, all of them made it into Test cricket by beating Test nations in World Cup. Sri Lanka beat India in 79, Zimbabwe beat, I don't know, everyone, and Bangladesh beat Pakistan in 99. This is because if you win in the World Cup, people actually notice, because people actually watch ODI games in the World Cup. They actually look at them and love them and enjoy them and follow them and, weirdly, remember them. So imagine there was a team who'd beaten Pakistan, England and the West Indies in the last 3 World Cups. You'd think to yourself, they should be brought into Test cricket. But no. They're going to be forced to qualify for Test cricket against other Test-playing nations that are already richer than them, that already have everything that they don't have. No, Ireland, stuff you. Stuff you and your amazing results and your great attitude to cricket. On behalf of the ICC, I say, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you're not around anymore. And even if you do get into Test cricket, you're not getting a vote on important matters. We don't care about your opinion on anything. We don't want you in the game. And if you do get in there, you're not going to get anything special. Stuff that up your Emerald Isles. And really, what is the point of a World Cup with only 2 more teams in the Champions Trophy? Why not just rename it the Champions Trophy Plus? The ICC has come out of these board meetings where they have splattered a second drop on global cricket's chest, and they want to pretend that cricket is going to be the world's #1 sport. Well, let me tell you, cricket won't be the world's #1 sport while you're sitting on global cricket's face and counting all the cash that you used to give them.
Welcome to Zolt's Talk. I'm joined this week by a Brick. Brick, welcome to the show. Now, you are the official ICC World Cup format explanation spokesbrick. Thanks for taking some time out from what I know must be a very hectic schedule at the moment. Could you possibly explain for us why it is that the ICC have decided to reduce the World Cup from 14 down to 10 teams? Right, okay, because there have been a lot of people who've claimed that the decision is really slamming the door in the face of progress and stifling the growth of the global game in favour of the vested interests of the financial superpowers. What would you say that could refute that? Okay, right. So, Brick, a lot of people have said that the last few World Cups have been far too long. The next World Cup, despite reducing the number of teams, is going to take even longer. Now, how on earth has that happened? Right, and finally, Brick, a quiz question. I know we all love quizzes. Here's your question. What question could be answered with the phrase, "We need to reduce the Cricket World Cup to only 10 teams"? I'm going to have to hurry you. That is the correct answer. Brick, thank you very much for joining us. Next week on Zolt's Talk, I'll be talking to a bucket of sand about the DRS and the immoral implications of allowing cricket to be run by robots.
Okay, so here it is. Everything that you need to know about why cricket isn't in the Olympics. Let's really dish into... oh, hello? Mr. Srinivasan, yes. It is a Superman Red Sun, but yeah, okay. But how did you know that... you're omnipotent. Okay, so you want cricket to be the world's #1 sport, but how does that equate with cricket not being in the Olympics? Okay, gotcha. So more ODI rule changes will take over from football and more MS Dhoni. Well, okay. Hey, whatever happened to that whole Chennai Super King match fixing thingy? Hello? Well, that was, surprisingly, Mr. Srinivasan, chairman of the ICC. He believes... Oh, sorry. Hello, Mr. Clark. Yes. Lovely to hear. Okay, no. Olympics. Yep. You'll lose $1 trillion. Sorry, no, $150 million. But surely that's a made-up number with no real factual basis. Both numbers, okay. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I don't actually want to kill English cricket. But didn't you host the Champions Trophy beautifully? And that was 3 weeks in the middle of your summer, and that didn't cost you 100... Okay, all right. So that was Giles Clark, whose current role with the ECB is... Oh, you're kidding me. Wally! Yes, how are you? Yeah, we just thought the blackboard would give us like a base... Okay, sorry. Yep. So you like the Olympics, but you're leaving Cricket Australia soon, so there's sweet bugger all you can do. True, does mean less people will blame you, but don't you actually want to leave with one nice legacy, something that you're doing for cricket? Hello? Hello? Okay, well, that was the chairman of the Cricket Australia. Essentially, we're losing cricket from the Olympics because one chairman doesn't seem to care about it. The other chairman doesn't want to lose $1 trillion. And the last chairman is leaving. The good news is we'll now never have to see Suleiman Ben as a flag bearer. We've had no Ashes, Andy. Nothing has happened, but there has been a lot of words. Kind of words that we've had, things like Nathan Lyon saying Square Jeff, which was a rare moment of Australian pride in trying to get in the heads of English players.
Square Jeff.
Yeah, according to Urban Dictionary, Square Jeff is a horrendous sexual practice that no human should ever be involved in.
Really? Is the square, and this is his mystery ball.
Let's call it that. I mean, it's a mystery in that it doesn't exist.
Right. Is it? I mean, is it called the Square Jeff because square is the shape of the ball after it's continually smashed against the advertising hoardings after the Essex batsmen have pummeled him for 6.5 and over? Is that the square ball?
Could be.
But, of course, yeah, there's always a war of words. Stuart Broad claims Steve Smith probably can't bat at 3. I don't know if he said exactly that, but it sounds like a good headline. And he's got a point. How many test runs has Steve Smith scored at number 3 in England? Fewer than Matthew Hoggard. That's how many. You can't argue with that kind of stat.
If it does prove to be that Australia don't win the Ashes because they're old, which is how England win and lose most Ashes, by being older than Australia, Jason Gillespie might be charged with high treason, or worse, he might be forced to coach South Australia. Fate worse than death. But if the worst sledge is someone from a former legend of your own team basically saying, I've looked at the ages of your team and you're roughly older than the other team, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I think we need more old players. Jack Hobbs played in the Ashes when he was over 50, didn't he? W.G. Grace, Wilfred Rhodes, great figures of the game. In fact, I think every team should be forced to have at least 2 players over the age of 50. Because it's not representing humanity as a whole. There's just too many young men in international men's cricket teams. Brad Haddin said he can't understand the hype about the England team, but judging by a lot of these commentaries, he can't understand any form of polite conversation. I don't understand why anyone has to have that when they can't be shouting at each other or just growling generally. Ben Stokes said that the only thing England have to fear is fear itself. Or was that former US President Franklin Roosevelt? It was Roosevelt. Stokes. Now, what Stokes said was he announced a new deal to try and help America recover from a disastrous economic... No, wasn't that, was it? What Ben Stokes said was, Eleanor, you've still got it. It was something along those lines.
Do you have a prediction?
A prediction, yes. Oh, do you want me to tell you it?
You don't have to.
I think it's going to be...
Don't flirt with me,
2-all.
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 Okay.
But it might be 4-0 to Australia.
2-all, but who do you think will win?
Well, cricket. Cricket probably. I think cricket will get a points victory.
Yeah, always.
I don't think it's going to be a knockout victory.
I think someone will win 3-1. Probably the team who plays better.
That's so often the way in sport. But are you looking forward to it though, or has there been Ashes overkill? This is the 18th full Ashes series in the last year or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of Ashes. Let's not lie. Am I looking forward to it? No. Will I be happy on Monday? What is it? Wednesday morning? Yeah, I'll be happy on Monday morning. maybe, but on Wednesday morning I'll be there and I'll be excited and I'll be part of it. And yes, I will be kind of excited.
Yeah.
You?
Well, quite. I mean, it's clearly better to have an Ashes than just to have an aching void of nothingness. But I wouldn't have minded a decent series against South Africa or Pakistan.
Or more than 2 tests against New Zealand?
Yes, that too. Or, just...
Other things.
That's not too much to ask for, is it?
Yeah.
Evidently it is.
So, Doc, the Ashes? At last, all is in readiness. After all that waiting, which was admittedly almost no waiting in this Ashes-drenched era we live in. Yes, takes me back to when we were playing, and no one else was. Come on, Doc, times move on. Top-level cricket can't just be 2 nations anymore. No, it should be 3. So, Wednesday morning in Cardiff, not only the recent winner of the world's least romantic date competition, but also the time when England's campaign to win back our rightful urn begins. Or at least your campaign to lose the urn with a little bit more dignity intact than last time. Don't forget, Frederick, you baggy Greensters have not won an Ashes series here since 2001. In fact, not just here, anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. That is a long time.
Sure is. Don Bradman was only just dead then. And surely with that Series 1 in 01, they could have given him a game at the Oval to try to get those missing 4 runs. Just strapped a bat to the front of his coffin and hope for the best. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Come on, England had Jimmy Ormond in the bowling attack.
Opportunity missed. 2001 though, let's put that in context, Fred. A long time ago. I was 14 years less dead than I am now, which is almost exactly 100 years. So I was 14% less dead.
You love a stat, Doc.
In fact, I know around 83% of stats.
ODI rules have changed them again in the ICC. I think it's important to note at this point, it's never going to stop. Andy, this is our life for the rest of our cricket experience. For every moment of cricket that we have, things are going to change just slightly. Fielders are going to come in, they're going to go out, they're going to go around the corner. There's going to be a new circle, an old circle. There's going to be an oblong. There's going to be a square Jeff. There's going to be every different kind of change that you can have on a cricket field. And just when you think you know what it is, they're going to replace balls with fish, carp probably. and then once they've done that, the big bats will be replaced with actual Andy's rocket ship from a couple of episodes ago. There's going to be every sort of different kind of change you can have because we are unable to fully enjoy one-day cricket as it is. We will continue to change, we'll continue to make it better, we'll continue to make it worse, we'll continue to make it weirder until the super sub rule is just another thing that actually makes sense. What do you think?
Well, the logical endpoint is just to have all 11 players on each team switching sides at the halfway mark. I think that's basically where... and then it'll just reach a stage of such confusion that it just, I don't know, ends, disappears into the stratosphere. I think what I'd like to see is they've just got to stop making these rules. They should get all the rules they've made and all the rules they're thinking of making over the next 50, 60 years, put them all in a hat, so you've got like 50 rules or whatever, and each captain has to pull out 5 at the beginning of each game, and you just play with those 10 rules.
I think we know how ODI cricket is eventually going to die. 2 captains are going to walk out, not know the rules, and leave, and we'll never have another game.
Was on his way to the physio's room to have his knees... Sorry. I thought I could get it past you and couldn't.
Hello? Sambit, yeah. No, they were all fake phone calls. This isn't even a real phone. No. I love you too. Bye, baby.